Hello, I'm Los Angeles City Controller Ron Galperin, and I'm so pleased to be part of the LA Public Library's continued work to promote financial literacy. All year long, the library, through its outstanding Department of Lifelong Learning, hosts life-changing programs that teach and support financial empowerment, immigrant integration and inclusion, and health and wellness. And the best part of it is that it's all free. As controller, I make sure that public dollars are being put to good use by keeping our government honest, responsive, and accountable. Because people want to know and deserve to know that their government is doing its best to serve them. While it's important for the city to plan how to use its money wisely, I want you to know that it's just as important for you to do the same. Because the financial health of the city depends on the financial health of all Angelenos. The programs that the library is hosting this week and throughout the year are here to help everyone succeed and to make a positive financial choice for their future. I am so grateful for all our libraries and the incredible staff and VITA and EITC financial experts and all their volunteers for all they do to ensure that you and your families have the tools and resources not only to prepare your taxes, but to help you be on the right financial track. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Galperin. Hello, I'm Caroline Zakarian. I work for the Office of Savings and Community Services here at the Los Angeles Public Library. Welcome to Financial Literacy Month. Today's program is called Scam Prevention Intervention Financial Elder Abuse and is brought to you by Bet Tzedek and the Los Angeles Public Library. Today, Taylor Amstutz and Lisa Anderson from Bet Tzedek will be discussing financial elder abuse. Topics they will cover include scams, scam prevention, intervention, and holistic concepts. We'll have a brief Q&A after the presentation, so please send us your questions throughout the program. Thank you, and take it away, Taylor.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you today. As mentioned, my name is Taylor Amstutz, and I'm an Equal Justice Works Elder Justice Program Fellow at Bet Tzedek Legal Services. All that to say, I'm focused for 2 years on elder abuse intervention in the rural areas of Los Angeles County, using elder abuse restraining orders, advanced planning, conservatorships, and community education and outreach. So today we are going to discuss financial elder abuse, as well as elder abuse restraining orders and some common scams. While we will have time for questions at the end, I would encourage you to put questions into the chat throughout as they come to you. And if you find yourself having some questions afterward, or if you think that one of these scenarios sounds familiar, whether it's to you or a friend or family member, please feel free to reach out to us using the contact information at the end of our presentation. So what is financial elder abuse? While there are quite a few kinds of elder abuse, right now we're just going to focus on this financial component. So I think it is easiest to define by looking at what signs are commonly associated with an individual who is experiencing financial elder abuse. So it can include an unexplained withdrawal from normal activities. Maybe they're getting into frequent arguments with friends, family members, caregivers. They might have a sudden change in their financial situation or spending patterns. So for example, maybe they paid their mortgage on time 20 years and now all of a sudden they've missed a payment. Unattended medical needs, poor hygiene, and unusual weight loss are sometimes associated with financial elder abuse. And sudden changes in mental health. Often there's a lot of shame and embarrassment around this topic. And in fact, the National Center on Elder Abuse estimates that 57.9% of perpetrators of financial exploitation of older adults are family members. So as you can imagine, this only adds another layer of emotional distress and potential emotional concern and shame if the abuser is someone that they have a close familial relationship with. So while Lisa is going to go into more detail on some scams, I wanted to just give you kind of an overview of some of the more common ones. Scams and financial elder abuse are used interchangeably throughout this presentation. Scams are a form of financial elder abuse, And so if you hear me moving back and forth between those two, no need for alarm. The first component or example of financial elder abuse is signing and cashing checks without someone's permission. And sort of hand in hand with that is an unauthorized credit and debit card use, or if someone establishes a credit account in someone else's name. Another would be coercing or deceiving someone into signing a financial document like a contract, will, or power of attorney. And if you go to our presentation from last week, you can learn more about those documents. In many instances where someone signed a document, they might think that it was something else, but in fact, they've given an immense amount of authority over their personal well-being, their finances, etc., to this person who tricked them into signing a power of attorney, a will, another tool like that. So a power of attorney is something that is very powerful and it can be easily abused. At Bet Tzedek, we do assist with power of attorney revocations in cases where someone may have inadvertently signed a power of attorney or the person that they named in this document is no longer acting in their best interest. Another example of financial elder abuse is when someone gets an older adult to co-sign on a car or loan, perhaps without them fully knowing the consequences of doing so. If a borrower, so the potential abuser, doesn't pay the full debt, then the older adult is in fact liable for the full amount. Other potential scams are high interest and short-term loans. So short-term high interest lenders and payday loan shops often trap borrowers in a cycle of debt. So some alternatives to these can include nonprofits or faith groups, perhaps reaching out to a trusted family member or friend, as well as keeping up to date on government assistance programs that provide financial relief. Buying gift cards for scams is very frequently something that we see, as well as the grandparent scam. So sometimes abusers will contact an older adult pretending to be maybe a grandchild or other family member. They're begging for money because, they've gotten into a horrible car accident or they lost their card and they're trapped. They were traveling and they're in this really bad urgent situation. And they're trying to get the person who's picked up the phone to act quickly without thinking because they're preying on their emotions. But in fact, if you receive one of these calls, it is best just to hang up and call the person who this individual is claiming to be directly to sort things out. There's also lottery or sweepstakes scams. So if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Letters such as Publishers Clearinghouse, you've won $1 million, or calls informing you that you've won the lottery are more likely than not too good to be true. Hanging up, refusing to respond, and not cashing any checks that you might receive are very important next steps if this is something that happens to you or someone that you know. Romance scams, which we'll just talk about briefly, but I could take up our entire time talking about, happen when a criminal adopts a fake online identity to gain a victim's affection and trust. So the scammer then uses this illusion of a romance or close relationship to manipulate and steal from the victim. So this is a direct quote from the FBI's website. If someone you meet online needs your bank account information to deposit money, they are most likely using your account to carry out other theft and fraud schemes. So kind of a general statement that could apply to quite a few of our scams that we'll talk about today, but specifically arose in the romance scam context. So anytime that you're giving private information over the phone, it's really important to be careful. Sometimes this can result in identity theft, which is another form of financial elder abuse, which occurs when someone wrongfully takes and uses another person's personal information in some way that involves fraud or deception, typically for their own economic gain. Periodically, you should review your credit card statements and credit reports for suspicious activity, shred mail with sensitive information, and recognize when spam emails and texts come in. Don't click on any links that are included in those, and also be very careful when you're giving a credit card over the phone. So if any of this sounds familiar to you, whether it's you or someone you know, There are some next steps in responses to financial elder abuse. There are many organizations that you can report to. So if you discover that an elder is being financially abused, encourage them to report the fraud to the bank directly and ask to freeze the account in question if the abuser still has access. Or it may be required that the account gets closed and the funds are transferred. Anyone can make a report to Adult Protective Services, and they investigate instances of elder and dependent adult abuse. Their phone number is 877-477-3646. You can also file a police report with local law enforcement. And if you know who the abuser is, then Bet Tzedek may also be able to assist. If you discover that an elder has been a victim of elder abuse, specifically in the financial context, and it was within the last 48 to 72 hours, you can report it to the FBI. You should advise them to freeze their credits and sign up for any restitution funds, as well as report to ic3.gov. Unfortunately, if someone has lost everything to financial exploitation, then they may want to explore letters to creditors or bankruptcy options. There is another alternative if an individual is able to take preventative measures. So while we've talked about what to do after financial elder abuse has occurred, it is really best if you can keep it from occurring. So encouraging individuals to engage in advanced planning, such as signing a power of attorney that names a trustworthy agent, is a really good preventative measure that can keep these individuals protected from abuse by allowing that trusted person to help monitor their finances. And I believe Lisa will go over that a bit later. So I do have a financial elder abuse example here. And while I won't read it to you, I do just want to note that the couple in this instance who was being exploited by their caregiver, they can take an intervention route by possibly suing to have the house put back in their name, and then reporting to those agencies that we mentioned previously. But in this instance, prevention really would have been the best option. So having a power of attorney to oversee their financial transactions and check in on them periodically would really have saved them a lot of trouble. So we talked about elder financial abuse, which is a component of elder abuse in general. So I do want to take a bit of time to talk about what elder abuse restraining orders are and how they could benefit someone in a wide array of areas, but also in the financial context. So what is an elder abuse restraining order? It's a type of restraining order that recognizes elder and dependent adults often face a heightened vulnerability to abuse. As a result, they've lowered the requirement or standard of proof, which is basically just the duty or burden of the person who's responsible for proving the case. It's a lower standard than required in even civil harassment restraining orders, which is just a preponderance of the evidence. So, for example, if you were trying to seek a restraining order, you would only have to prove that it's more likely than not that abuse has occurred. Under the statute, there's also a broad definition of abuse afforded to elders and dependent adults. So it can include physical, sexual, financial, mental or emotional, neglect, abandonment or abduction, isolation, deprivation by a caregiver of things or services the elder might need to avoid harm or suffering. And it also includes mental suffering. So it's not only physical abuse. Oftentimes people say to me, they never hit me, but, they were shouting, they were taking money out of my account without my consent. And those are all things that are recognized as elder abuse. So it does not just need to be physical abuse. So who qualifies for an elder abuse restraining order? Not only older adults, which is currently defined as persons age 65 and older, but also dependent adults who are individuals 18 to 64, regardless of whether they live independently, who reside in California, and who have physical or mental limitations restricting their ability to carry out activities of daily living on their own, which are, feeding, shopping, finances, clothing, that kind of thing. Or adults with developmental disabilities. They're also included under this statute, and that is defined under Welfare and Institutions Code 4512 as an individual whose disability originated prior to the age of 18. So not only the individuals who we just talked about can petition for an elder abuse restraining order, there are also people who may not have experienced the abuse firsthand, but are stepping in to seek the elder abuse restraining order on behalf of the individual who's experienced abuse. So someone who has standing, which just means that they have capacity to bring a case in court. And this can include individuals like a trustee in the person's trust, an attorney in fact, an appointed guardian ad litem, or conservator. And we do discuss conservatorships in our talk from last week, so I don't want to get too far into that, but the very short of it is a conservator is appointed when someone's no longer able to make decisions in their own best interest. And within that, they're able to potentially seek restraining orders on behalf of the person who is conserved. So one example of standing is if someone named an agent in their power of attorney, that agent could seek a restraining order on the elder's behalf. So if it's a case where the agent alone wants the restraining order, but not the elder, and the elder does still have capacity, then it's unlikely that the judge would move forward with it. So if you are to name someone as an agent in your power of attorney, it doesn't mean that you're automatically signing over everything and that you've lost all self-determination. That is not the case. And so I just wanted to note that example. So the relief afforded under elder abuse restraining orders is very broad as well. It includes conduct, so it prohibits the abuser from engaging in specific behaviors such as threatening, harassing, hitting, or stalking. It also includes a stay away, which is usually 100 yards, which can be adjusted depending on a living situation, and a residence exclusion, which is essentially an instantaneous eviction, also called a move-out order, but the individual must meet certain criteria. So there are other orders for care, possession, or custody of an animal, and special orders, which are kind of customizable. They enjoin the party from a specified behavior that the court deems necessary to effectuate the orders. So this could potentially include reference to a financial situation previously. So this is an example of an elder abuse restraining order and how that could be beneficial. Hopefully everyone can see that, but I will just run through the types of abuse that are noted in this example between Sandra and the person who moves in to take care of her. This is a pretty common scenario, and unfortunately, there are quite a few kinds of abuse listed here. So there's the verbal and psychological abuse due to the yelling. There's physical abuse if someone is bringing individuals onto the premises that make living in that house unsafe. And then there's also the financial abuse, where this person is accessing the bank account that they were previously put on to assist the elder for their own personal gain. There's isolation if she's leaving Sandra without access to the outside world and she knows she can't drive. There's also neglect. And I do just want to note that while this is kind of an ongoing example of abuse, a one-time incident can be sufficient. So this situation could have been avoided, similar to our other example, if perhaps a power of attorney had been appointed, or if Sandra had already lost capacity, if a trusted person had sought conservatorship in order to be able to make those decisions in her best interest. So, if an elder abuse restraining order sounds like something that might benefit you or someone that you know, we do offer an elder abuse restraining order clinic 3 days a week. We generally return calls within 2 business hours between the hours of 9 to 5, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We are entirely remote, and we expect it to continue this way indefinitely, as this format has actually allowed us to facilitate greater access, and we can mail or email documents that we fill out to an address provided. So access to our assistance is actually much easier in this remote format, and attending hearings, which a lot of people are really nervous. They know that there's a hearing associated with the elder abuse restraining order component, but there is a remote format available. And generally, judges are aware that people represent themselves in these cases, so they're able to act accordingly. And I do, on that note, just want to say that our self-help elder abuse restraining order clinic means that although we are attorneys who work in the clinic, we don't represent you, but we are able to provide information, and we're able to assist with filling out all the documents that are needed to file for an elder abuse restraining order. And then we also provide a detailed handout that gives guidance on next steps. So you're not just completely left on your own. We're available to answer questions. And I just want to thank you all so much for your time and attention to this important issue. I want to turn it over to Lisa now.
Taylor, thank you so much. What an awesome presentation. And thank you for touching bases on a variety of scams, as there are many, and we will continue this presentation jumping in depth with other scams to be aware of. So again, my name is Elisa Anderson. I'm Bet Tzedek's Elder Abuse Prevention Advocate, and my role is to go into the community and discuss with first-line responders, seniors, and basically to everyone, the components of elder abuse, knowing your rights, how they correlate into scams and different frauds and things of that nature, and hopefully try to empower an individual to have preventive measures and understanding prior to a scam. Next slide. So scams, common scams, learning how to spot them, knowing what to do if you or someone you know is a victim of a scam, and we'll be talking about scam prevention tips and tricks as well. Top scams in the nation. We'll cover a few of them right now. And just as a note, annually, there's about $36 billion of scam fraud annually. So that is a lot of money that we can use in other areas to combat homelessness or things of that nature. And so that's why it's really important to notice that this is an epidemic, and we want to provide information to empower you to have preventive measures in scams. So how are scams determined or accessible? Basically, how individuals first reach out to you is usually by fake emails, texts, and phishing, which is not fishing in the ocean, but it is in some ways. So scammers use fake emails, text messages to get you to share valuable information, account numbers, social security numbers, passwords, etc. And of course, they also use phishing emails to get access to your computer or network. And so generally what you'll see is something like, your account is locked. Click here to verify your personal information. No organization is going to ask you for that. And that is the first spot of a phishing email. Next slide. So just top lining some of the scams to be aware of right now. A lot of individuals, especially elders, get caught up sometime in a Social Security or an IRS scam. A lot of those scams are usually done via telephone or a text message. And what they do is the caller calls in, they pose to be an employee of the IRS or Social Security. They may tell you that your Social Security account will be locked, you owe IRS money, so on and so forth. If you don't take care of this information immediately, you will be subject to cancellation of Social Security or arrested for IRS and taxes or things of that nature. Just know that these organizations and no others will never contact you with this or requesting any type of information. But more importantly, know that your social security number can never just be canceled. Okay, so if you get any calls like this, please do not talk to the individual, but more importantly, contact those government agencies directly. Next slide. So, scammers, one of the newest scams, and I wouldn't say new, but one of the scams we see more frequently is from Amazon. A lot of times, late summer, they're selling new products. After the holidays, new products. And what will happen generally is you'll get a phone call, or you may even get a text message saying that you've authorized a purchase through Amazon, and to click here and verify the information. And so if I see something that says I've authorized a purchase for $900 some odd, that's an alarm for me. And so what it's asking you to do is click here, verify the information, which of course gives the caller information or access to your account. They sometimes may even reroute you to a different email that may look like Amazon, but is not, and ask you to put in your personal information. Next slide, please. And so in line with that, we see the same thing when it comes down to PayPal accounts and Apple. Your Apple ID is locked. Your PayPal account is locked. A lot of individuals are using more of these online platforms and handling business and things of that nature. And so that opens up the world of scams from individuals wanting to block you out of your account. Sometimes you can actually do an online purchase, and some type of way within the next hour or so, you'll get an email saying your purchase was declined, click here. And just as a note from the from any of these scams, the Amazon, the PayPal, and the Apple ID, those organizations, if there is a problem with your account, you go into your account on PayPal, or you go into Amazon and you click on the order of the Amazon. And from that, it asks you, is there a problem or what have you? You click on the problem, and then it asks you, do you want to speak to a representative? If so, we will call you immediately. Please answer the phone, because it may be coming from a number unrecognized. And so that's generally how you're able to get in touch with them. And the same thing for PayPal. You have to go through your PayPal account and request a phone call from PayPal, or request to talk to an individual. So they are never going to send you anything directly. And the same thing with Apple ID. And so just as a note with Amazon, if you're able to write this down, Amazon does have a direct number that is pretty hard to find in searching the internet. But because I'm an avid Amazon shopper, sometimes I do have to use the number, and have used it very successfully. That number is 866-216-1072. So again, Amazon, if you are having a problem, you're researching, looking for a number, you're unable to find it, you can contact Amazon 1-866-216-1072. They will pull your account and give you all information without you having to answer any questions. So that's just another way to get a hold of them. Next slide. Credit card skimming. And so a lot of times we've seen in the past, maybe you went to the grocery store, the gas station, and this has happened to me on a few different occasions. You put your card in the machine, you get your gas, and within 30 minutes, money's out your account. What has happened, or what can happen, is a lot of times with a skimming situation, there may be a thin layer of plastic or a thin layer of something inserted into the ATM slots or the machine where you would insert your card. Once your card is inserted, that information is captured through the skimming device, which sometimes has a camera right there, and now they're more sophisticated and it may be a little bit different. But your card is picked up, all your card information. If you're putting in your access code, that information is picked up, and this allows your credit card to be used without your knowledge. So be mindful of those things. And what I usually do is an old habit, but again, it's happened to me at my ATM and it's happened to me at a gas station. So what I do is is if I'm using an ATM machine, especially if it is not inside of the bank or an organization at the store, what have you, I usually stick my finger in the slot area or near it to kind of fumble around with it and make sure there's nothing loose right there that could potentially be capturing my information. So that's just like a little trick of the trade that I like to use, but just be mindful in inserting your card. There's a possibility that this can happen, and it happens all the time. Next slide. So how we just kind of talked about how the credit card scheming works. They capture your credit card information, your legitimate transactions. They put it on their device, and next thing you know, they're using your card to make purchases. So again, as Taylor said earlier, please make sure when you get your card statements and things of that nature that you pay attention to your card statements and your bank statements, and you actually review the transactions, because sometimes when schemers use your information, they do small transactions that you may not notice right away. And if you notice 6 months later and you go back to your organization and say, oh, this was fraud, a lot of times you will have difficulty in them assisting you if it's not done within 30 days. Next slide. So a little bit about this. I know we're kind of been in this COVID thing for so long. We have test kits, we have vaccinations and things of that nature. But just a reminder that those are still scam mechanisms that are out in this world, because people still have to take tests, even though things have leveled down quite a bit. We're still in an uncertain time as to it leveling up, leveling down. Do we need a test? Don't we need a test? Where can you get it? Who can do it? So on and so forth. So just remember, if you do need to get a test, go to your physician, get a referral, go to trusted places, purchase those tests, and just be mindful of who you're providing your information to, and be mindful of individuals offering you a free home test kit, providing you give them your Medicare information and so on and so forth. That information is never necessary, and I just want to keep that in your frame of mind as we're moving through this process. Next slide. So the same thing for vaccination cards. A lot of individuals have been creating vaccination cards. There were even at the first part of this year, 2022, a couple of physicians, one in California, one in Florida, that were arrested for selling fake vaccination cards. And so we've heard those things a lot. So just be mindful. If you have your vaccination card, protect your card. That card is just as important as your Social Security, your driver's license. It identifies you. It identifies, you know, in the background, your health information, so on and so forth. So please protect yourself. Be mindful of vaccination cards, and be mindful that those cards can be duplicated. And so a lot of times what we see too, especially in the beginning, is we saw people posting their card, hey, I got vaccinated, with a nice picture and the card held up. That is just the biggest dream for someone who wants to do identity theft. So please protect yourself with that. Next slide. So again, we always suggest that you access your credit report, and how important it is to review your credit, review your bank statements, and so on and so forth. But again, COVID has reminded us that not accessing that holds a lot of information that people are just not aware of, from small purchases or things that are not just brought to your attention immediately, that can later lead you into a bigger harmful situation. So this is just a reminder that you do get a free copy of your credit report annually at www.annualcreditreport.com. Make sure to request that, review your credit. And I know a lot of times with the elders, the thought is, well, I'm not using credit, I don't need to get my credit report. Well, I know of several people eventually got credit reports and realized they bought a car that they never saw. And in addition to that, just a quick story, my daughter, in applying for college a few years ago, we later determined when she opened a bank account that her Social Security number had been used to have a bank account at a popular bank, Chase, as a matter of fact, for over a year. And the individual also purchased a home with my daughter's Social Security number. So always access your credit report, review it, review your statements, and look for anything that doesn't seem familiar. And in doing that, make sure as well that you look at your Medicare statements, your health statements from your insurance companies as well. Those things are compromised on a regular basis, and we want you to be assured that your information is safe. And so a little due diligence will help you out a lot. Next slide. So again, what is identity theft? It's when a person uses your personal information without your permission. They open credit card accounts, as we said, loans for houses, apartments, you name it. And the thing with the individual using my daughter's information is they paid the bill. And sometimes people do that. They'll buy a car in someone else's credit and they'll pay the bill, and you'll just never know until something happens, or you go to buy a card yourself, or you go to use your medical information to get a wheelchair and found out that you've already been given 3 wheelchairs but had no clue. So please just check your information, be aware of identity theft. And the only way you can do that is just by being aware of your monthly statements and what is going on and being kept in your household. Next slide. So what are some common warning signs of identity theft? And so we kind of touched base on it earlier, but just as a reminder, bills that do not arrive as expected. So you're looking for your bills and it's like, where is my mail? Where are my bills? You know, what's going on? Sometimes your mail may have been stolen. You may want to contact those creditors from bills that you have at the house to verify if you're receiving mail. Check with your postal carrier. We've seen a lot of changes in these last couple of years. So these are just simple reminders that can help us all day to day. So unexpected credit cards or account statements. So a lot of times people have the you're pre-approved, sign right here and we'll send you a $10,000 card. And so sometimes you take your mail, you toss it, you don't shred it. You know, people go through our trash on a regular basis for a variety of different reasons, even for recyclables. So if you have mail in there, someone picks it up and it's a pre-approval for some credit, they submit the information and change the address. There's so many different ways that can work. And so one way out of that too is if you get those pre-approvals and what have you, there is on each pre-approval letter a address or number you can call to be removed from pre-approval lists, so that cannot happen to you. So that's something to think about. You get a denial for a credit card. You apply for a card at the store, it's holiday time, and you get a denial, and you're saying, well, how did I get a denial? I have a 740 credit score. I should never be denied. Well, maybe you got a denial because you have a bunch of credit that you're unaware of, because you're just not checking your credit report, or you have no clue because you're not getting mail or not getting statements, so on and so forth. So just other reminders why you should look at your information on a regular basis. Sometimes people get calls or letters about purchases. And this happened to me for about 6 months at the beginning of the pandemic. There's a car dealership in Torrance. And every month for about 6 months, I got a rejection letter, but it wasn't my name. So it would have someone else's name. And then if you opened it, it would say your credit has been declined or whatever for the new car purchase, XYZ. And so the first 1 or 2 I kind of ignored. And then as I'm noticing this with several different names over a period of time, but my address, that was alarming. And so I called the company because I'm like, do you guys cross-reference this information? I can just come in and just tell you any address and it goes anywhere and the person can buy a car. Well, as it turned out, 2 people bought a car using my address. I only knew about the ones who got declined, had no clue about the ones who were not declined. I've had the address for 20 years. How does this happen? So just be mindful how things happen. People use your phone numbers, they create addresses, use it all the time. So just be mindful of that. Charges on your financial statements that you don't recognize. So we talked about that. Look at all your statements and incorrect information on your credit reports. So review your credit reports annually. And at one point during the early part of the virus, they were allowing credit reports weekly. So it went to monthly. It may still be monthly, but for sure it's annually. So if you've not done so, please review your credit reports. Next slide. So those were just some of the top line scams, as Taylor mentioned as well. The grandparent scam, the romance scam is really a huge one. Working from home, contractor fraud, so on and so forth. So there's a variety of scams that affect seniors mostly, but all of us individually that are top line in the nation right now. We wanted to bring you the ones that are occurring the most at this time, for you to be aware of and just things to think about. And so with that being the case, again, as I said earlier, my role is to go into the community and discuss topics and bring awareness. And so with that, my program is called the Safe and Savvy Senior Educational Series. And these are a few of the individual presentations that I do. So one would be, what is elder abuse? And although we say during coronavirus, that just highlights it a little, but what is elder abuse, period, and knowing your rights, okay? Understanding the components of elder abuse, as Taylor touched on them, we can then determine how those components actually leave you vulnerable into scams. So that is a great presentation to think about. And a lot of times individuals may not even understand that they are actually in an elder abuse situation, because we just kind of take it for granted, that the caretaker is over there helping grandma and everything looks great on the outside, but not at all great on the inside. The other presentation is scams and scam tips. So we can do an overall presentation on the top scams and get more in depth with examples and how-tos and how not tos in regards to scams. And we also have a scam presentation more in depth related to the virus and things that happened during that point as well. So we try to touch bases on both avenues, whereas we still deal with both those avenues. One of the main presentations I think we did for you guys last week is our advanced planning. And we do have that presentation even more in depth, being prepared with your healthcare directives, power of attorneys, trust, and conservatorship. So as Taylor mentioned earlier, those are tools that can be used as preventive measures for scams and things of that nature. And another presentation that I like to really get out there is contractor fraud and PACE. And for those of you who don't know what PACE is Property Assessed Clean Energy. And what that is we all get the mailers and calls in regard to solar panels. It's free from the government. It reduces this, it does that. Everybody works on it for free. It's free for the seniors. We also get the mailers that energy efficient paint. Paint your house one time and you never have to paint for the next 20 years. Windows, so on and so forth. A lot of those things have different components that make you believe that if you're an elder or in a certain community, that those things are free for you. They can be paid for through your property tax assessment, which is a really big ordeal. And then I also have a presentation right now that I'm also doing in conjunction with someone else that does Medicare, Medi-Cal, Medicare components. There's a lot of new rules that are coming up as of this year, I believe May and July. Some of the numbers are changing as the first of the year for qualification, and a lot of private home programs that are coming to light that one may not be aware of. So these are some of the presentations that I like to go out and make people aware of. So if you're in need of anything of this nature, or want to discuss anything further, please give me a call. And my next slide is, we're available to help you. We have Bet Tzedek's main line, the email, www.bettzedek.org. We have our main intake line, 323-939-0506. There is someone there generally to answer the phone, take your information, and route it to the right attorney or advocate for services that you need. You can also email our intake line at intake@betzedek.org. And if you are in need of any client services or any type of current services, attorney or advocate, please give us a call, email us. We would love to chat with you and try to help resolve your problem or get you into the right area. And my last slide, I believe, is contact Bet Tzedek. Same information. And we are now at the section where we are at the Q&A. So do we have any questions? Have we provided you with some information that you can use in the future?
Thank you, guys. Yes, great presentation. There's a few questions that have come in. The first one is, are there any scams that you know about that we haven't talked about yet during the presentation?
There's a multitude of scams that come in all the time. We have scams where individuals going door to door, posing to be from your utility companies, wanting access to your home, wanting access to your information. We have door-to-door scams where the neighbor is assisting an elder with purchasing groceries and things of that nature because the elder can't get out, so on and so forth. So there are so many variations. We have the charity scams that are just unbelievable because there's so much devastation in the war, of course, in the world, I should say. But if we just think about the most recent devastating event that we're all looking at, and that's the Ukraine situation. And usually when there's a devastation, an earthquake, a war, which we don't have that many, thankfully, but disasters in the world, within 24 hours, there's over 1,000 fake websites that pop up to prey on you to provide charitable items. So there's a host of different things that we've not touched base on, but you should be thinking about and being aware of. So again, if we're thinking of charities, you can go to charity.org and review that. But more importantly, contact those organizations directly. Red Cross, if there's a disaster, we know we can pretty much go through the Red Cross and feel safe that it's going to get to the hands that we want. So just be mindful, and you can always call Bet Tzedek and other organizations to verify any type of information. And also, with that being the case, we will have a resource sheet attached that gives you telephone numbers that you can use to report information or to gain additional resource and information in relation to scams and others.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my second question, the one that came in, is what should I do if one of these scams sound familiar to me? What are the next steps to do? And I think we mentioned, yes, the resource sheet. Yeah, so if anyone does want this resource sheet, you can email us, lifelonglearning@lapl.org. And then, yeah, the email's on there on the screen. So, yeah, we can send this to you if anyone has, because there are lots of good tips on here.
And yeah, just something to just kind of say, the first thing, if you get a phone call, just hang up the phone. You're not compelled to talk to someone on the phone. When they call in, hey, we must do this, we must do that. Another thing I want you to think about is a lot of times we get those like robocalls type of thing. What happens with a robocall, as soon as you answer, the scammer puts the word out, hey, we got a live one over here. So now your number goes to every scammer on the planet because they want to see if you're going to answer, because sooner or later when you answer, you're going to hear silence for a moment. Somebody's going to jump in on the phone and they're going to start talking. Hey, do you need solar? Do you need this? Just do this, just do that. And before you know it, you're having a conversation and possibly getting up information that you don't want. If you have caller ID, check your caller ID. My biggest thing is if they can't leave a message, then I can't call you back. It just wasn't that important. So although some of these scams are very simple, just be mindful. If anyone's asking you to wire money, please never wire money to anyone, especially someone you met online. No organization or anyone will ask you to wire money.
Thank you. I mean, what I do is I I Google it, the phone number, because it comes on my cell phone, and lots of times it's robocaller. I don't answer it anyway, but yeah, and if they don't leave a message, then yeah, that's another thing. But no,
And
thank
keep
you so
in
much.
last tip on that. Keep in mind now, as of January 21, I believe a law went into place that all the organizations must provide a call blocking mechanism. So there is call blocking mechanism that is for free on your cell phones and on your landline as well. So if you are not utilizing it or don't know how to use it, contact your providers and they will walk you through that and make sure that you have access on that on your line so you can block those particular calls and not have to think about doing anything additional.
No, thank you so much. I mean, I had it at one point, but yeah, I have to call back on that. But thank you. Let me see if anything else has come in. Okay, I don't see any new questions. Okay, I want to thank you guys both again for a wonderful presentation. I learned a lot, and I wanted to also let everyone May is Small Business Month, and starting next week we have a month of small business related programming with the Small Business Association and Association of Financial Educators. Some of the programs we have coming up: SBA 101, SBA funding, SBA resources for veteran entrepreneurs as well as women entrepreneurs. And there's also going to be like a general business owner workshop. And then there's more information on all of that is going to be on our online calendar. And some of them are also going to be in Spanish. So lapl.org/what's on/calendar. We will be having an actual web page on our website for it coming up hopefully next week. And yeah, someone else is just they're saying thank you. Great. So once again, thank you guys again. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.